My name is Kirstie. I'm hello. I'm from Scotland, which is in the UK, and I'm going to talk about ecotourism in Scotland. I'm going to try and talk kind of slowly, so if I talk too fast or if you don't understand anything, just like shout it out or like put your hand up, whatever you want to do. This is my email as well, so if anyone wants to email me any questions or anything about the presentation, yeah, you can email me here. In this presentation, I'm going to first of all talk a little bit about myself, so I'll introduce myself and a bit about my background and things. And then I'm going to talk about Scotland, so just about the country in general. Some top locations for ecotourism in Scotland. And then ecotourism and local food and drink, ecotourism and farming, and some campsites in Scotland as well. And then we'll have a chance for any questions. Hopefully we'll have time. But yeah, if you have any questions throughout, just like feel free to shout out. So yeah, as I said, my name is Kirstie. I'm from Scotland, which is like just above England. So this is, the UK. So I studied geography at the University of St Andrews, which is this picture here. So I was there for 4 years and I just graduated this summer. Yeah, and then I was working for a few months over summer, and now I'm here volunteering with FLAD for 2 months in Lombok. So in Scotland, the climate is like really cold. So in summer, the average is 17 degrees centigrade, but right now it's September, so it's kind of like autumn, but it's, my friends at home said it's like 9 degrees right now, so it's kind of getting cold already, and it rains a lot. We have a lot of wildlife in Scotland, so we have pine martens, which are kind of like little squirrel kind of things, and then we have red squirrels, which is this one here, osprey, which is like a big eagle, and these are puffins, and then we have red deer and otters and mountain hare. There's a lot of mountains and coastline forests, and we have lochs as well, which is basically just the Scottish word for a lake, but we just call it a loch. So I'm going to talk about 3 different locations for ecotourism. So the first one is the Cairngorms National Park, which is here, and then Loch Ness, which is, so Loch's just like a big lake, and then the North Coast 500, which is like a road trip around the top of Scotland. So the Cairngorms National Park is the largest national park in the UK, and we have 9 nature reserves in the park. So Scotland has a history of deforestation, so before they cut down a lot of the trees for like wood and fuel and things, so they're now trying to bring the environment back to what it was. So the Cairngorms National Park is really important for that because they have areas which are protected and they're doing like rewilding, so they are trying to get the environment back to what it was. There's also lots of activities to do in the national park, so they have walking and hiking trails, cycling, skiing, which you can see on the hills there's snow, so in the winter they have ski runs, which is fun. And then there's lots of castles and cultural tours, nature and conservation site tours. There's, I think you saw in the video as well, there's river tubing and whitewater rafting and kayaking as well. So there's lots to do in the national park, and it's quite often like the tours and things are set up by local people, so it obviously brings in money to the area and stuff. Really good. Yeah, and Harry Potter. So a lot of the movies were filmed in Scotland. So I think you probably recognise the train, which is in the Cairngorms National Park. And then this here, I think, is part. I don't think I've watched this movie, but yeah, I think that's part of it as well. So J.K. Rowling, who's the author of Harry Potter, she said that she always imagined Hogwarts to be in Scotland, and she actually wrote the books in like a little cafe in Edinburgh. So you can go and visit the cafe and stuff, and there's lots of different tours around Scotland of like, you can visit all the different places. So yeah, it's and recently they valued how much Harry Potter brings to the UK. So £4 billion, which is 5.3 billion US dollars to the UK economy. So it's brought in a lot of money with like tourism, book sales, the film industry, employment, and merchandise as well. So yeah, it brings in a lot of money. So this is Loch Ness, and it has over 300,000 visitors per year. one of Scotland's biggest lochs. It's also the deepest, so it's quite dark water. And there's lots of activities to do at the loch, so you can visit the Loch Ness Centre, which explains all about the loch, and there's canoeing and kayaking trips, walking trails, boat cruises, and the castle ruins. Yeah, the main reason that people come to visit Loch Ness is because of the Loch Ness monster. So it's like an old story. It was first recorded as a sighting in 565 AD, so a long time ago. Kind of not confirmed or denied whether there's a monster living in the loch, but yeah, it's meant to be like this prehistoric creature. So this picture here there's kind of controversy around it. So some people think it is a picture of the Loch Ness monster, but then other people think it's just like people took the picture to sell it to the press. But yeah, there's been over 1,100 recording sightings of the Loch Ness monster, and we have an official Loch Ness monster sightings register. Yeah, there's been a lot of research into this, so like people going down diving, like submarines, there's been DNA research, but it's not been confirmed if there is actually a monster or not. But yeah, it's worth nearly 41 million a year to the Scottish economy, so $54.6 million US for people just coming to the loch to try and see if they can see the monster or not. So they also have like boat tours around the loch to see if they can find it. Okay, so next is the North Coast 500, which is a road trip around the north of Scotland. Basically, this area the road trip was only launched in 2015 because this area didn't have as much tourism. So Edinburgh is kind of a bit further down, and Glasgow, which is kind of where most people would come to Scotland. But now they've created this road trip, which is like encouraging more people to go there. So it's bringing a lot more money to local communities around there. So it starts and ends in Inverness, and yeah, it goes around the coast, lots of scenic drives, local fishing villages, different lochs and waterfalls, and you can see a lot of wildlife on the way. So there's stop-offs where you can try and see dolphins, which is quite cool. And you can camp or hire a motorhome, or there's hotels along the way. So yeah, it's really good actually for bringing money into these areas, and there's lots of small villages along the way. So there's lots of activities to do on the North Coast 500 as well. So outdoor adventure activities like hiking, cycling, water sports. They've also created a lot of cycle routes to increase accessibility. So yeah, people can cycle the route. It takes quite a while, but you can do it if you want to. And there's culture and food, so local seafood, whiskey distilleries, and handcrafts as well. So how the NC 500 supports ecotourism. So it encourages sustainable travel. We have like policies called leave no trace principles, which basically means that if you come to an area, you have to take away all your rubbish and make sure that you don't disrupt the land, and yeah, making sure that you leave it as it is when you arrive. They're also trying to encourage eco-friendly transport, so electric vehicles are becoming a big thing. So you can go and like hire a motorhome or like a caravan, and the places you hire them from are now trying to introduce electric vehicles. So yeah, obviously, which is a lot better for the environment. There's also a lot of protection for local wildlife, so responsible wildlife watching, so making sure you keep your distance when you go and see the animals and stuff. There's marine conservation and wildlife experiences, and also protected areas around the area. Yeah, it also supports local communities, so locally owned hotels and campsites, and encourages people to shop local. And there's also a lot of education, so about traditional music, Highland games, and guided tours. And Highland games is basically this thing we have in Scotland where it's a lot of farmers go, and the main event is they have this big like a pole, kind of like a high jump pole, and they have to like chuck logs of wood over this pole. It's a bit weird, but yeah, they have that in Scotland, so a lot of people like to go and see it. And then also they're trying to promote eco-friendly accommodation, so eco-lodges, camping, and wild camping, which I'm going to talk about a bit later. Okay, ecotourism and local food and drink. Yeah, so traditional Scottish dishes include haggis, which is this thing here, and it's made from like locally sourced meats and grains. but there's also an old legend that it's this little animal that lives in the highlands. It's not actually, we don't actually eat it, but it's like an old legend that it's like a made-up character, that this is what a haggis is. And when I was at school, like in primary school, we had a big haggis dinner, and that all the teachers told us that we were eating this cute little animal, but we don't actually eat it. It's like sheep and like cows and stuff, and it's all kind of mixed together with grains into this, haggis. We also have Cullen skink, which is a soup with local smoked haddocks, so fish, potatoes and onions, and then we also have a lot of salmon farms, so sustainably farmed and wild-caught salmon. And then the traditional Scottish drinks is whiskey, so I'm sure you all know whiskey. We have quite a lot of it in Scotland, and it's worth a lot of money. So 7.1 billion pounds, so 9.3 billion US dollars to the UK. So yeah, we get a lot of money from whiskey. There's quite a lot of like locally owned places and distilleries and things. No. We also have a lot of beers and ales as well, and Iron Brew, which is like it's kind of like Coke, but it's bright orange. It's like a fizzy drink. It's really nice. Kind of tastes like bubble gum. Whenever I go home from being away, the first thing I go and get is an Iron Brew. So ecotourism and food and drink. So we have a lot of whiskey distillery tours. So you can go and see where the whiskey's made and how it's made. We have cooking classes and food tasting restaurants, so you can go and like try a little bit of everything from different Scottish dishes. We also have a lot of farms in Scotland, so that means that we've got ecotourism and farming joined together, which is known as agri-ecotourism. So it involves visitors participating in sustainable farming, learning about local produce, which obviously supports the local farmers' income, as well as the surrounding community. So they have farm tours, so basically you can go and visit the farm and see how it works and stuff, and see all the animals. It's quite popular with like children, so you can go and like pet the cows and the sheep and stuff. We have farm shops, farmers markets, and fruit picking and flower picking is quite a big thing in Scotland as well. So we have big strawberry farms, and you go and get like a little box, and then you can just fill it with all your strawberries. And flower picking as well, so we have sunflowers, and you can just go into the field and pick them. We have farm stays as well, so basically people go and stay on the farm, and they can camp or stay in the farmhouse and learn all about what goes on. And it obviously brings a lot of money to the farmers, which helps their livelihood. This is the Highland cow. Highland cows. So these cows are native to Scotland, and everybody in Scotland loves Highland cows. We basically have one example is Bumble Farm, and you can go and do a Highland cow safari. So you go around the farm in like a jeep and look at all the different cows. And we have cow cuddling, so you can go and pet the cows and brush them. And, it's really cute. There's also craft workshops, so with the wool from the cow you can like make different things like jumpers and stuff, so they have workshops for that. And you can also do a thing where you sponsor a cow. So my friend back home for her birthday this year, her mum basically got her a cow, and you pay money to the farm and they send you pictures of the cow and you get to name it. And you can go and visit whenever you want and pet the cow and stuff. So you kind of have a cow which lives at the farm, but you just pay money and
like a cow adoption.
Like a cow adoption. So it's really important for the farmers and increases education on local farming. And obviously the money which you spend there at the farm or sponsoring your cow creates a better environment and better conditions for the cows. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about campsites in Scotland. So we have this thing called the Scottish Outdoor Access Code, which basically allows anyone to camp like anywhere they want on public land. But with this, it comes like responsible camping. So you have to make sure that you clear away all your rubbish, there's no uncontrolled fires, limited disruption to the wildlife and the landscape, and like the leave no trace principles like I mentioned earlier. So making sure that you kind of leave the area as it was when you found it. Along with this, so we also have over 500 campsites in Scotland. So I'm gonna talk about two different campsites. So the first one is Banff campsite, which is Banff, which has a bit more like infrastructure and more things going on. And then the second one is Saloki campsite, which is a bit more simple, so kind of a bit of comparison of the two. So at Banff campsite, there's lots of different camping facilities. So you can stay in these little like lodges, little huts. They have showers and toilets. They have like reception and common room, a little shop and cafe, and areas for parking as well. So there's quite a lot more infrastructure at this campsite. So they've spent kind of a bit more money making it a bit more upmarket, and it's obviously a bit more expensive to stay here, but yeah, they've got really nice facilities here. There's also a big environmental impact in the Banff area, so they're rewilding the area, which, as I mentioned earlier, they're kind of trying to recreate these wetlands and woodlands which have previously been destroyed, which also creates habitat for birds and insects and frogs. And they've also reintroduced the beavers. So this is an animal which went extinct in Scotland because of all the deforestation. They didn't have any habitat anymore. But Banff is bringing them back in, so they've reintroduced them into the area. And they're this little animal which lives in woodlands, and they make their homes like across a river. So they build dams, which then floods an area, so making a wetland. So they're really important species. So yeah, the Banff campsite is bringing in money from people coming for tourism, and then they're spending this money in things like this, reintroducing the beavers. There's also lots of different activities you can do at Banff. So they have mapped hiking trails and short walks around the area, but they also have activities which you can do. So you pay a little bit extra and you can do these different things. So they have wildlife tours, bird watching, and different courses like woodworking, charcoal making, beekeeping, and cooking. So this is often run by people from the local community, so they kind of educate about the environment and the area and take the different courses, which is really important to bring money into the area. This is the second campsite, so this is Saloki campsite, and this is a bit more of a simple one, so there's kind of less infrastructure, but it's right next to Loch Lomond, which is another big lake that we have in Scotland. They only have 20 camping pitches, so you have to bring your own tent along. But they also have accessible camping pitches, so people with wheelchairs, they can easily get to the area. And they have fire pits and raised barbecue areas, and compost toilets, sink for drinking water, and a tourist information board. So this is a bit more of a basic one with less infrastructure. But it's right next to Loch Lomond, which is a really nice area, so there's lots to do there. So as there's less infrastructure in the area, it has less of impact on the environment. So the raised barbecue and fire pits means that it doesn't disrupt like the ground or any vegetation on the ground. They also only allow tents, so obviously if people are driving in, then it disrupts the environment. They also have campsites where you can pay less money if you arrive by bike or if you walk there. So you can pay a little bit less. It kind of encourages people to come to the area without driving to the area. And they also have the waste disposal bins and recycling, so it encourages people to put their rubbish in the bin, and so it doesn't disrupt the wildlife and the environment. Yeah, there's not as much activities set up at this campsite, but they have different walking trails which are kind of on the website and in the information boards, and the site is, as I said, is right next to Loch Lomond, so there's a lot of activities that you can do there. Yeah, this is more of a simple campsite, so less impact on the environment, but still lots to do. Yeah, that's me done. If you have any questions.
Okay, thanks for the time. And my name is Yuda. I would like to ask you, how do they manage the waste in the campsite in Scotland?
Yeah, they just make sure that there's enough bins provided and make sure people are putting their rubbish in the bins, and then we have some people who come around and do rubbish collections and stuff and litter picking. There's also at some campsites I've been to before, they have you can volunteer to do litter picking, so it's one of the activities. You just go around and collect the litter and stuff, and sometimes some places I've been to, they'll give you a free beer if you collect a bag of rubbish. The government in Scotland is quite good at taking all the rubbish away to landfill. so it makes it easier.
Okay, my name is Nisa. I wanna ask about Sakochi Camp. Sakochi Camp, right? So Saloki. Sorry. Sorry. Saloki Camp. I wanna ask about. Do you have to walk a long way to get to the camp? Or yes,
I'll go back to the map.
yes. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, this is there's like a road along the side of it, so you can drive to the area, but yeah, there's also walks along the way. So some people, if they want to go on big hikes, they quite often will walk around Loch Lomond, so they'll maybe park somewhere and then walk along the way and stop at different campsites. So yeah, depending on how far you're coming from, but if you want to drive, you also can. There is also parking places. It's encouraged that people try and walk to the area or cycle or like park somewhere and then walk from their car. But there's lots of walks along the way, so sometimes like a stop off for people.
How long?
How long?
Two
walk?
hours? Or
Yeah, I guess it depends how far you're coming from. If you're walking around the whole lot, I actually don't know how long it would take. Maybe like a day, maybe a few days if you're going around the whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Hi, Miss Kirstie. My name is Lala. I really wonder that because we are because we are talking about ecotourism, right? Yeah, I want to know that what is the main problem maybe in Scotland about ecotourism now. And then there is a lot of activity if we do ecotourism, like there is camping and hiking. There's a lot of, and then I want to know what Scotland people like to do the most at the ecotourism. That is Miss. Thank you.
Problem or like challenge that we have is, I think you probably experienced it here as well, is that so many people are wanting to travel now. So there's kind of a big influx of people. So like I was talking about the North Coast 500 route, obviously it's really good for bringing people to the area, but it's kind of quite a sudden increase in people, which is meaning that some of the areas are kind of more challenged, like the environment. They've had to build new infrastructure, so like boardwalks, so like across the environment, so making sure that the area is not degraded by people walking on it and things. So I think probably the main challenge is that there's maybe too many people coming now. The main thing people like to do, I think probably walking. A lot of people in Scotland come to do like walking and hiking and water activities as well, so like kayaking or paddleboarding, like stand-up paddleboarding. It's basically like a big blow-up surfboard, and people stand on top and paddle. So that's become really popular. Mostly like outdoor adventure activities. That's what most people come to do, and lots of walking. No worries.